Once you grasp this truth that I'm about to tell you, it'll set you free from religion. It'll set you free from parents and moms and family and governments and police, everybody. It'll set you free. And it's simply this: you are divine. God has exploded in a Crab Nebulae explosion, and he has come and manifested himself as billions of people. And you're one of you, and so am I. When I look at you, I see God. When you look at me, you see God. That's why God's name is I am. I am God. It doesn't mean that me, God. It means I am. When you say I am God, you have to say, what is God's name? I am. What? I am God. Oh my God, then all the people, Christians run around, oh, I told you they think they're God. I don't think any of the other side. No, Jesus Christ said, the scripture says you are God, and the scripture cannot be broken. So he said it.
Yeah, like I'm not third album.
Peace, 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 family. How you all doing? I hope all is well with you. My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Ascendant Astrology, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I'm going to be discussing or continuing my Dark Side of the Sign series with Libra. And I chose to do Libra because Libra is also the opposite of Aries. And so with the conjunction, the Chiron North Node conjunction energy, I thought, let's do the opposite of Libra, because that's also going to have play a big part in all this. Hopefully you guys are watching all the signs, because even though you might not have any planets in this sign, you have Libra somewhere in your chart. And so some of these things can be helpful. Hell, you might have Libra friends. And in that way, this can be helpful as well. So as we're on this healing journey, we are going to talk about the dark side of both the male and female Libra. And my mom is a Libra sun, and I'm a Libra rising. So I will be adding some stuff here. All right, let's jump in here. So the dark side Libra male, he can be indecisive and have a string of past relationships because he can't make up his mind. He's constantly looking for the one. He will always have a woman on the side, whether it's a female friend or a potential mate, ex-girlfriend. They need to have female energy because it's ruled by Venus, and Venus rules women. And so he might always have a lot of females around him regardless. They are judgmental. They may appear on the surface as accepting, but deep down inside, they judge everyone, because Libra is a sign of justice and judgment. So while they are trying to get to know you, they are trying to figure out if you're a good fit for them or not. They have high standards that they hold women to, that is impossible to achieve. They can be petty, have a tit for tat persona, always looking for balance. This is the date that wants to go Dutch because they want everything to be fair and balanced. They always want something in return. They swear they know women like handsome men. They have preconceived notions of how women should behave. And if the woman doesn't show up in that way, he won't commit to her. They can be people pleasers. They can end up being doormats. They tend to want to keep the peace. And so a lot of the times this can become unattractive to others because they might see them go through a lot of experiences where they're kind of being treated like crap. And that can be a turnoff because women typically want somebody to show up as a strong male figure. And in that way, they might not do so. And so once you get to know them, you may leave. They are busybodies, always in other people's business, getting involved in family and friends' lives. They always end up making things worse, trying to play mediator, because Libra also rules mediators or mentorship. It's complicated is definitely a Libra term. They are argumentative like lawyers because Libra rules the justice system. And they can be sue happy. They care too much what other people think of them and our followers. They tend to be military, just like, or militant, just like Capricorn and Aries. They will ambush you at the wrong time. Like you could be out and about with your girls or girls' night out or whatever, and they'll decide to show up, which can be really annoying. They can be very manipulative because Libra is a sign of opposition and open enemies. Um, and they'll tend to use that diplomatic tool as a way to, again, see if you're a good fit to fit into their life. They can be too idealistic and want things to be perfect. He can come off as well cultured, suave, knight in shining armor with flaws. He always wants to be out and about, so he's definitely a cheater or is prone to cheat. They can take breakups pretty hard, though. They will try to drag it out, lie about how long he's been broken up, or stay in unhappy relationships for years. They will betray you by dating your best friend, your sister, your cousin, or your mother, or your wife. He can be violent if pushed, because Libra's typically the sign of peace. And so fighting isn't really their thing, but on the dark side, if you push him to his limits, they can become violent. These can also be homosexual cross-dressers or homosexuals and cross-dressers, and they'll hide it through their marriage. Their feminine side might come out during sex. They can be mentally unhinged and can get caught up in the wrong crowd. So very naive here, where they might be easily led to do things that bring them down the wrong path. They can be objective and not take your side in a disagreement because, they'll want to hear both sides of the stories, but they'll tend to play devil's advocate. And that could really piss people off too. Because when you're in a relationship, they're going to expect you to take their side. All is fair and love and war is definitely another Libra term. All right. Libra, dark-sided women. So she tends to be so nice that it's hard to detect their dark side on the surface. I can attest to that. I've had people tell me that, like, you seem nice, or because they view me as somebody who's super pretty. They don't tend to expect me to be somebody who could be ruthless or rude or, even stand up for myself. To be honest with you, which I find dangerous and interesting at the same time. You never should judge a book by its cover. You should always be cautious and mindful, especially if you're pissing somebody off. Like you push a dog in the corner too much and they're prone to bite back. I think that's only common sense, but it's interesting how I think it's because I'm small and petite, people tend to not take me seriously, which really is annoying and frustrating. She can make up her mind. She will start things and never finish. I can't attest to that, but I could see how a dark-sided Libra would do that, especially in the early ages or very mature, a mature person, because it's hard for us to make up our mind. We never know what we want. Like they say, Libras are indecisive, but I've never had that problem. I would equate that to the fact that I have Mars, Pluto, and Saturn in my first house. I also have values that I was raised with. I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to do something and then don't show up. So my word is everything. How people view me is very important to me. So if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I don't give a damn if I have to call and say I'm going to be late, I'll be there. If I say I'm going to I even do that for myself. It's not just about other people. I practice what I preach. And so in my mind, if I plan something or I put a goal out there, I achieve all those things. Like I've been working since I was 13. I think the first time I ever had any real time off from work was when I had my first son, which was about 16 years old. Um, Outside of any other time that I've had a child. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I've never taken even a day off from work unless my kids were sick or there was doctor's appointments for myself to do anything for myself until this last job that I have right now. And I'm 42 years old. Like I don't do vacations. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I like my jobs. I typically tend to pick jobs that I like now. I can't say that was always the case. Um, because I can be irate in the workplace and I always tend to get myself into trouble. And so I have been fired from jobs. I've been let go. Um, and I had to learn that over time. I had a lot of anger issues. Again, I have no fear. And so these were things that I had to learn about myself over time, that I had to pick jobs that I liked, otherwise it wasn't going to work anyways. And so, yeah, I've never actually really had any real days off until this recent job, which is crazy. Um, she won't take sides. I'm always going to see both sides, and look at them and say, well, you were wrong for doing that to her because of such and such. And you were in the right, but your behavior doesn't, mean that you get to treat people like crap. You know what I mean? You could have found a better way to deal with that. That's just who I am. I can see how people wouldn't really like that and they will want to take sides. However, what I will say is in person, my story will change. Meaning if both of you guys are there, I'm gonna be fair to both people. However, if I'm with one person behind that person, when the other person's not there, I'm gonna say my truth. But I'm not going to hurt somebody's feelings. That's really hard for me to do as a Venus rule person. And I can see how that can be seen as something that's a dark-sided trait. Um, Relationship and marriage are everything to her. They are very important, but it's not my life. However, with my mom has been with my dad for, I'm 42, 3, 4, 5, 6, 46 years. Um, and their relationship is toxic. They have no business being together that long. However, my mom will defend my dad and then beat him down in the same sentence, which I find disturbing, but that's their relationship. And she will brag that at least I got a man in certain situations, but they're toxic. So what are you really bragging about? And everybody knows their relationship is toxic. It's blatantly obvious. But she doesn't care. She still sees the fact that she's in a relationship as something that's honorable, which I think is hilarious. She will post about her man all on social media. She tends to drag her man everywhere she goes. This is so true. My mom, like just the other weekend, my mom and I and my sister went out to eat, and we had this discussion beforehand that this was supposed to be about my mom. I wanted to take her out and do something nice for her, and she wanted to call my dad. Now, I'm not around the family as much, so I don't know. My sister was like, don't let her call him because all she's gonna do is argue with him. So I was like, okay, okay, okay. So it doesn't matter if it's girls' night out, whatever. some kind of event that's just supposed to be for her. She could be going to get her hair done. She's going to invite her man to go with her. If they're not in a relationship, they tend to be miserable. Um, yeah, my mom can be like that. If she gets lonely, um, I could see that. I don't, I like being alone, so, yeah, I think my standards are a bit too high. That's why I had to get used to being alone, because there are certain things that I'm not willing to sacrifice or stand. So I've just accepted that, it might take me a while before I find somebody. Um, they tend to interfere in other people's lives and drama. Um, they'll lay their problems on you. Yeah, my mom does that to us all the time. Same damn problems too. Different day. It's like, child, leave me alone. They'll bore you with their story of their exes. No. They are constantly online looking for mates. So these are definitely serial daters. I'm definitely a serial dater. And I can see how that could be considered a dark sided trait, especially if you're just dating to be dating, like the Leo energy. They date for attention because Leos love attention. They don't really care what they're getting, that the fact that people are looking at them because they're constantly dating. In their mind, they're being fulfilled in some way, right? And so for Libra, again, it's just like she needs to be in a relationship to feel important. And so that could be the dark side of it. However, in real life, where people are trying to grow and evolve, you should be dating. And I do think society kind of puts a dimper or dimmer light on the idea of dating. Then you should just pick somebody, date them, see how it goes, and then blah 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 blah. But that gets us into a lot of trouble. If you listen, you can listen to any relationship coach, and they'll tell you date. Don't just put all your eggs in one basket. This is where love and relationships becomes like um investment techniques and understanding. When you give all your energy to one thing, when you get out of it, you tend to feel like crap or unhappy or get into these deep depressions and sadness because you're not, because you're given to one too many things instead of spreading spreading it out, or having options. Now, obviously, with those things comes maturity, being open, making sure you're letting people know that straight out the gate, um, and other certain tools and techniques it takes to be able to do that, and not getting so close and all these other things. And so, in that way, I am a serial dater, but I'm very open and honest and upfront about my expectations, what I want, and all those things. But in the process of that, what's even better about it is that I get to learn more about myself, my interests, what I really like, um, what I don't like, why. And I'm able to talk about those things when I do meet people so that they can make a decision too. This isn't just one-sided. People need to know what they're getting into, even if their intentions are low vibrational. At least they know how to move and you know how you're gonna move. I feel like this is another thing that can eliminate this societal norm where we constantly get hurt and love because we don't know who we are, we don't know what we want, we don't get out there enough, we're not social enough, and these things aren't normalized. And so it really becomes a hindrance more so than it does then you see the benefits of it, which is it's really unfortunate. But even more so when I did the Aries video and I was talking about, um, you know, how men have certain expectations of women, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. But on the flip side to that, the reason that I feel the way that I feel about it is because I would never get into a relationship with a man and put him in a position where he has to tell me what to do as a woman. I show up as the woman, whatever that typical idea of what a woman is supposed to be. I take care of my kids. I keep a clean house. I keep my kids in check or in line, right? Because I want to make it sound respectful. I'm not mean or anything like that. You know, and there are certain things, like I said, that I value or that I grew up with values around those things that are very important to me. And so on the flip side of that, if another person is coming in and they don't have those same values, I'm already uninterested, not to be rude or disrespectful or to judge anybody, but where's the balance in that, right? And so, I think all women should show up that way. Like, don't wait till you get a man to be like, oh, well, I'm going to clean the house, or, I'm going to take care of my kids this way, or, whatever. I think it's the wrong way to step into a relationship. Show up that way already, make it a part of your life, your daily routine. It comes off as more attractive, I think. And so, yeah. These might be the people who take a lot of relationship surveys online, because she doesn't really know who she is. She's constantly looking for the one. If she's in a relationship, she's all over him, and she attracts some of the worst men. She will keep him just to say she's in a relationship. She can be a serial dater as a result, or has multiple marriages. Libra is a sign of feminism because it rules the opposite sex, equality, and women. I found this very interesting. I was even beginning to wonder, like, on a global level, if there were any major Libra transits going on when the feminist movement started. I might even go back and do some research about that, but that was very interesting to me. Because I'm not, but I can definitely see how that relates for sure. And so she feels like she can do anything a man can do. Now, that is a trait my mom has. Very interesting thing about my mom is that her and my dad been together for 46 years, but they have lived apart for maybe about 20 of those years. Like, they live in separate apartments. And so my mom has always had to play two roles, because the kids usually tend to want to live with mom, obviously. Well, that's not obviously, because it could be. I mean, the sister under me actually stayed with my dad when my mom moved out, and they were together. And so it's not obviously, because not everybody wants to be with mom, but um for the most part, we grew up under my mom. She's the nurturer, right? And so she's always had to play two roles. Even though my dad's there, don't think he'll be there every day. We didn't miss him, I can assure you of that. But I feel like that's why she is the way that she is. But yeah. And so she can be a hypocrite in that way. She will cheat. Um, but they're typically not a one night stand type. Um, they can be pushovers to find your weak spot without emotionally attaching. That goes back to the manipulative part I talked about in the dark-sided male energy. So again, because Libra rules strategy, strategic, it's very diplomatic, and they're always the person in between two other things that bridge something together. They have a strategic mindset. Plus, like I talked about in the Aries video, is that I think it was a Capricorn video. I can't remember. But Libra or Venus is the devil's wife in mythology. And so there is a dark side and energy that comes with Venus overall that most people don't ever really talk about. And so manipulation, using Venus as a lure and things like that, those type of key things come with Venusian energy energetically. And so we will use certain tactics as a way to get information out of you just to see what you'll do, so that we can use it against you on the dark side, or again to make a judgment about where you fit into our life or whether you fit into our life. Okay. Yeah, because I'm trying to think if I have that trait in me. I feel like more so, again, because I'm not a big relationship person. I never really have been. I don't follow men, I don't fight for men, I don't chase men. And I'm not saying that like, that I'm better than anybody. I don't mean it like that. But remember, I grew up as a tomboy. I have a lot more masculine energy in my chart. And so I don't relate to that Venus softer side. I'm trying. And so I can't say that I relate to it from that perspective, but Venus as the ruling planet of Libra, what I will say is that strategy does make me like a good customer service person. So Venus is the socialite. This is the storefront person. Somebody who really, really, really has mastered the ability to give great customer service because they know people. And so it's not just that she'll be the one who's interested in taking tests online, but again, they study the mind, people, habits, patterns, behaviors, especially even as a diplomat, right? If you think about the job that it takes to be a diplomat, is that you have to be able to know your customer or your opponent, right? Because Libra can be like that, or they might see or view it like that, because it's a sign of open enemies. And so we are always baiting people and testing people, questioning people. That's a skill as far as I'm concerned. But if you're using it for dark side of things, it's dark side. It's, justifying that. But I'm just trying to give some more insight into it. It makes me a great customer service person, somebody who's really, really good at business or counseling or the ability to listen to people, observe people, watch people to know what they want. What does the customer want? You have to be able to put yourself in the customer's shoes. So that's another way to look at that and or change those things about yourself, even if it's not like a job or a business, but or rather, even if it's not like a business, but it's a job. Those skills can come in handy. These are very good people. Yeah, I said that right. So yeah. But again, a dark-sided Libra will use this because they want you to be codependent on them. They typically like to want to keep the peace, but create enemies in the process because they don't take sides. So I've already talked about that. Yeah, because Libra rules open enemies, but for the dark-sided Libra, she becomes an open opponent. And I did talk about that. And so she'll have two friends that don't get along, bring them together to try to make peace, but secretly wish for a fight. And she feeds off of that, like courtroom drama. They might even like to watch shows like that again because Libra rules the justice system. And again, these women can be sue happy, just like the dark sided male, and have lawsuit ideas in her back pocket, maybe even have won a few settlements. Um, and that's how she's kind of gotten huge lump sums of money throughout her life. They can be hardcore racists. Um, she is a feminist and can be a man hater. She cares too much about what people think. She follows popular demand to fit in. I'm the exact opposite. Um, just like the Taurus, the dark side of Taurus woman. She always, ooh, sugar pie, honey pie. Um, she always has to be out and about, especially in her younger years. She could have been a clubber or clubbed a lot, and gets married at a young age, pretty much. Story of my life. And will and insert herself in her husband's family problems like a Gemini. But Geminis know when to how to stick it and move. But Libra, they'll stay and linger. You guys, let me tell you something about my mama. Because she liked to fight. We call her Clash's Clay in the family. She is an instigator. Okay. And she tantalizes my dad's side of the family. Her and my other aunt used to get into fights all the time. She has now passed away, God rest her soul. But yeah, I can so attest to that. They are people managers. She'll manage her friends. She always thinks she knows what's best. Yeah, I do. I'm learning. I'm trying to be better. I try to stay quiet and mind my business today. Um, but I will mumble and talk shit under my breath. I don't care. Okay. They're very nosy. I'm not. They're very petty like Leo. They have a tit for tat mentality and consistently keep score. Yeah, that's my mom. They will bend over backwards for you and expect you to do the same. Um, no, I stopped doing that. I've calmed down. My mom does do that. My mom is the quintessential housewife. She will go to all of her children's houses and clean and talk shit the whole time, but she will clean the fuck out of your house, cook dinner, breakfast, all three-course meals, and tantalize your brain. But to me, that's somebody who bends over backwards. I don't think she necessarily expects the same. I can't really say that I've seen that. Maybe some do. Maybe you guys know. You can add your comments below and let me know. But I don't think I would ever expect anybody to do that because I know I do that. If I was to do that, it'd be because I want to. Or a lot of the times for me mentally, like I think I mentioned that in my Capricorn video. Like I do dishes for fun. I do it helps, with my mental because I'm consistently thinking like my brain never shuts off. And so a lot of the times I need to move or do stuff with my hands. Like that's why I used to smoke cigarettes. I learned anyways, and I had to stop and find another habit, which is now learning, educating, and I have my business. This keeps me very happy and mentally stable, depending on how you look at it. But um um, yeah, I had to change and transform those habits because that's why I needed to smoke. Like I needed to have something in my hands and just help my brain, like just shut up sometimes, or quiet the mind. Um, and so again, I don't think I would expect someone to do the same, but I can see how that could be a dark side of being. They can be very high maintenance friends that will call you at 3 a.m. just because our man didn't come home. Can attest. They can be testy, prissy, uptight, can't deal with anything unpleasant, doesn't like to get her hands dirty, but will expect others to do so. I can't attest. She will find a way to defend her boss's actions, so don't tell her anything in the workplace. She'll find a way to defend a serial killer's actions. Again, just because we tend to see both sides of this story. I'm mad that they put that example in. Because I tend to like dark stuff like that, it's not funny. But I would suspect that if you're gonna be a judge, that you have to have some kind of darker energy or deeper knowing or uh um interest in that type of thing in order to be a judge. So that's interesting. These people tend to know all the policies in the workplace. They are strategic to maintain balance. Um, her partner is her opponent, and she's always ready to check him. My mom. Um, these people tend to have obsessions with their eyebrows and tend to like to keep their eyebrows done. Sexually, she can be repressed. Love erotica novels, porn, and strippers. Um, yeah, I do think I can be a little bit prunish that way. I do have Pluto. Pluto wants deep expressions of love, right? And I'm not, Pluto's like doesn't want superficial shit. So don't tell me I'm beautiful and oh you look nice. Tell me something good that I did to you. Something that I taught you. Um, you know, those kind of like real things that can be quantified. I want to hear those things. Those kind of things would make me feel more sensual towards or sexual towards a person. If you tell me I'm pretty and I got a nice shape and my hair looks nice, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to appreciate it or whatever. It's like, okay, you heard it all before. And I don't even find those things to be the best parts of myself. So, um, it's kind of like, okay, thanks, but I do a lot more than all those things, or I offer a lot more than all those things. And so, yeah, I need intellect, in order to be turned on. Somebody who has a intelligence, a mind, you know, those kinds of things can tend to lead to repression sexually. Also, I'm really open. Like I'd be open to open relationships. Like they talk about polygamous relationships, but the right way to do it. I'm not talking about just frivolously out here sleeping around and thoughting off. I mean, like genuinely being in a relationship with somebody for 5 years. Everybody has that 5 year itch. Well, we should be talking about now. What does that look like for us? Do we actually separate, or are there still things there about us that we value about each other, but maybe perhaps, it's time to add some excitement or liven it up. I also think with all the experiences that I have from men, even though I think it's a tad bit unrealistic, that men typically might get bored sleeping with the same person all the time. And so if they're adding some kind of value to your life and it's not worth letting them go, then yeah, go for it, because I'm not going to do it. Look at, I'm very, very, very realistic. I am a practical person. It's probably another reason why I could be considered super dull in love, because I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that 4 or 5 times a week. Like in the beginning, we know everybody has that um what do you call it, the honeymoon stage of the relationship. You guys might be having sex all the time, all over the house and all the places, all the positions, blah 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 blah, right? After a while, realistically, here's the thing, it's not realistic, right? And so I'm not gonna lie, I'm just gonna tell you, if I'm not in the mood, I'm not in the mood. Go get that shit somewhere else. Now I don't know if that's the right attitude to have, so take it in strides. I don't care. But what I'm absolutely uncomfortable with is making somebody stay in a situation or accept something that they don't want to accept, especially in a marriage. I'm not talking about dating or, all that other stuff. Like, in a marriage, these things need to be discussed. They need to be discussed. They need to be written out. They need to be agreed upon, and they need to be followed through with. And I got to be honest with you. There are just some things that I really don't care to do, especially the older I get, I'm getting more stuck in my ways, and I'm just a realist. And so if you need to be out there having sex with 6 or 5 other women, kudos for you, go get her. But if that man is offering something to you, he takes care of you, or he can retire you, or he's bringing some kind of value in the house, and it's not worth letting him go. Um, I would agree. I'm sorry, that's just me. But I know a lot of people might be like, he's just crazy. Okay, but what I'm not gonna do is sit up here and have sex when I don't want to have sex. That's dumb. Sorry, that's just me though. I do or did like erotica novel books, and I went on a whole experience with that. My God. Um, what was her name? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh, I wish I could remember her name. That writer. Jesus, I will never forget those years of my life. Um, yeah, porn is great. I don't care too much for strippers, so and yeah, yeah, I'm not really interested in giving my money away. Fuck that. But anyways, so having sex, so she could be the type of woman who will have sex thinking of the stripper that she just went to go see, or the porn she just watched. That's not funny. She could get lazy in the bed. She could be too pretty, doesn't want to get sweaty, doesn't want to mess up her hair, doesn't want to do doggy style. But missionary, that's her shit right there. Whatever, I don't know. Which is why she gets cheated on. She will use sex as a weapon and withhold sex as punishment, just like Capricorn, the Capricorn male. Or she will use it to bait um the person that she's dating. So like this is a woman who will be dating somebody but still sleeping with her ex and withhold sex from the person that she's dating because she's sleeping with her ex. I don't know much about that. Sorry. Um, these are the teasers of the zodiac for sure. They are outside of Gemini's probably one of the biggest flirts. Um, and so they'll dress provocatively, or this could be like the burlesque dancers, where how they have like little things that they can unhook and show a little skin and then hide it. Like that's definitely Libra energy. You can be playful that way, or see that as being playful. Or allure. We want something. We know how to drag people in. We are hunters in that way. As a mother, she's a micromanager. I don't even have the energy to do that. I feel like my mom tried to be, but I think again, more than anything, we were brought up a certain kind of way. So we had certain expectations, and if you didn't follow through, my mom would sit there and watch you clean something, or, like she'd have expectations to you to clean something that she asked you to clean, and I don't see what's wrong with that. Um, I guess if you're doing it in a derogatory way, I could see how that can be a dark-sided theme, but um, yeah. Ooh, she can be a third wheel to her children's marriage and even cause divorce in their marriage. Um, or she can be the social climber that doesn't have time for her kids, is always going out, is on every committee to keep up with appearances, or spoil her kids to keep up with appearances, um, or keep up with the Joneses. She could be very bad with money to keep up with the Joneses. So, again, I can't attest to that, but I will say one thing. because again, I do have values. I was raised a certain way. When you go out in public, you represent me as my child. And if you're going out there acting any way other than what I've raised you as, that's a problem for me. And we will have to have a discussion about it. Is that dark-sided? I don't know. I see that as old-fashioned maybe, but not dark-sided. But that's just my opinion. Again, family, you got to let me know how y'all feel about this, what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. As usual, fam, I love and appreciate you. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.